Imagine that in 90 days, one Bitcoin is worth $1 million. Insane, right? Not according to former Coinbase CTO Balaji Srinivasan, who has been adamantly insisting on Twitter that this is a very likely scenario. On March 16th, 2023, James Medlock tweeted, "I'll bet anyone $1 million that the US does not enter hyperinflation." This was originally meant as a joke. If hyperinflation did happen, then the $1 million he bet would be worth very little to the winner. On the other hand, if there wasn't any hyperinflation, then the $1 million that James would win would be a $1 million in today's value, an inherently unfair bet. However, that didn't stop Balaji from accepting the bet in a now viral tweet. "I will take that bet. You buy one Bitcoin, I will send 1 million USD. This is roughly 40 to 1 odds as one Bitcoin is worth $26,000. The term is 90 days. All we need is a mutually agreed custodian who will still be there to settle this in the event of a digital dollar devaluation. If someone knows how to do this with a smart contract, we can do it on chain, so I can send USDC. If you won't do that, name a custodian." Balaji not only accepted the bet, but he made it much sweeter for James. James would only need to put up one Bitcoin, which was worth roughly $26,000 at the time. Balaji, however, would still be betting the entire $1 million. He then wrote two very long tweets, the first giving his rationale as to why he would even accept the bet in the first place, while the second goes into more depth on what the terms of the bet would be. He also drops the bomb that he will do this bet twice, once with James and once with another individual. Balaji lays out the terms as so. Terms of the bet. Ideally, someone can set up a smart contract where Bitcoin is worth greater than $1 million in 90 days, then I win. If it's worth less than $1 million in 90 days, then the counterparty gets the $1 million in USD. So he is betting that in 90 days, Bitcoin will be worth more than $1 million. If he is wrong, then James gets the $1 million in USDC along with getting his one Bitcoin back. If Balaji is right, then he will receive the Bitcoin, which would now be worth over $1 million along with the original $1 million that is now likely worth a lot less than when the bet started. The terms of the bet have been changed quite a bit since the initial joke tweet. Balaji has shifted the focus of the bet from hyperinflation to the price of Bitcoin. This is because he believes they are one and the same. The term he uses is hyper-Bitcoinization. In the same tweet, he explains exactly what this is. We have to define hyperinflation in BTC versus USD terms, because all other fiat currencies can and will be inflated away. That is hyper-Bitcoinization. To Balaji, defining the bet in this way would be the best way to measure whether hyperinflation has occurred or not. While the price of Bitcoin is volatile, it isn't so volatile that it would go from $26,000 to $1 million in 90 days. Instead, this is more of a measure of the volatility of the dollar. He believes, due to ongoing issues with our current financial system, that hyperinflation is imminent. This would mean that currencies like the US dollar would become relatively worthless. At the same time, a currency such as Bitcoin would likely increase in value due to many people fleeing to it for safety. In his tweet, Balaji lays out how this could happen. This is the moment that the world redenominates on Bitcoin as digital gold, returning to a model much like before the 20th century. What's going to happen is that individuals, then firms, then large funds will buy Bitcoin, then sovereigns like El Salvador, and tiny crypto-friendly countries. The big move will be when a US state like Florida or Texas, or a quote-unquote normal country like Estonia, Singapore, Saudi, Hungary, or United Arab Emirates buys Bitcoin, and when Narendra Modi tells India's central bank to buy Bitcoin, even as a hedge, it's over. So he is getting at the idea we are likely done with the fiat era of currency. Fiat currencies are manipulated by the institutions that control them. Before fiat, we had currencies that were backed directly by gold. He is implying that Bitcoin will become the new currency that is either primarily used or at least backs other currencies. Balaji also believes that the price of Bitcoin compared to US dollars is a clear warning that this sort of collapse is bound to happen. Bitcoin has gone from being worth nothing to over $25,000 per coin over the last 14 years, which to him is not only a clear sign of the increasing value of Bitcoin, but the decreasing value of the dollar. If you want to check out his entire theory on why he thinks that the US dollar is about to collapse, I will leave a link to his thread in the description. You can also pause the video now and read it. However, he does link to a lot of sources that are definitely worth taking the time to read. Balaji is not an idiot. He's adamantly aware that this bet is not a good one for him. In a Twitter space, he even states that he was burning the money to ring a fire alarm.
Reason I'm burning this money, one thing I want to be very clear about is there's no way on earth that this makes any money, because if I'm correct, or even close to correct, why would I not use the purchasing power to buy more Bitcoin today than in the future? $1 million that buys 40 Bitcoin or thereabouts, when I did it, and get one Bitcoin in the future, and plus I get $1 million worthless dollars. And the reason is that I'm doing it to ring a fire alarm.
He is clearly doing all of this to send a message rather than trying to directly profit from this bet. Like he mentioned, if he really wanted to make some money, he could just buy a bunch of Bitcoin with that $1 million rather than locking it up in a bet. He even outlines exactly what he is doing in a tweet from March 16th. He calls it the bit signal, saying that he is putting 1 million in Bitcoin to alert us and prove that it isn't a false alarm. He also wanted people to spread the news, and is even giving away money to the best tweets about the situation. Balaji is a very rich man who has a couple $1,000,000 to burn, so even if he loses the money, it won't mean much to him from a financial standpoint. James Medlock responded to Balaji's thread with simply, "Sir, I believe we have ourselves a deal," meaning that the bet was on, and as of March 19th, James had posted, "Since I've gotten a lot of questions, yes, the bet seems to be moving ahead smoothly. Money not quite in escrow yet, but should be tonight. So it seems like things are moving along smoothly and that this is a real bet that will be taking place." If we are to assume that this bet would end 90 days from the day of Balaji's proposal, then that would be June 17th, 2023. So if Bitcoin is not worth over $1 million by then, Balaji will look like an idiot. If it's worth more, then he will look like a genius. If Bitcoin is worth $900,000, it'd be kind of awkward considering he would have been kind of right, but would still lose the bet. Either way, this whole situation has been extremely interesting to watch, and I'm excited to see how this whole bet unfolds over the next few months. Let me know in the comments if you think Balaji will win the bet or not, and why not go check out my video on 5 things everyone should know about Bitcoin in the meantime.